It's the weekend, and it means it's time for the Weekend Review. I'm FOX54's Kenesha Dees. This is the place to get caught up on the weekend local news, and it's been a busy one. Here's a bit of what's ahead, including a look at growth in North Alabama. From Huntsville annexing land to expansions of our parks and recreational offerings, there's a lot on the horizon. We have a look into the past and the indigenous people who once populated the North Alabama region. The Florence Indian Mound Museum and the Chickasaw Nation hold a joint exhibit. And some of your elected leaders took a special field trip this past week. What they learned could help and improve the life of the aging population in Madison County and beyond. More on all that just ahead. Our top story this week is a series of follow-ups to last week's big story, the third-party review of the Decatur Police Department. More people have had time to digest the findings, including a former Decatur Police chief and the social justice group Standing in Power, which has been critical of the department and current Chief Todd Pinion since the shooting death of Steve Perkins more than a year ago. In a FOX54 exclusive, I spoke with former Decatur Police Chief Nate Allen, Chief Pinion's predecessor, about community policing. Here's a listen. We're here today to discuss your next chapter as it relates to what's going on right now currently in the city of Decatur. We know that there was a third-party review that was released. It was an external review of the police department as a whole and its relationship with the community. And quite a few times your name came up.
Yes, I noticed that, yes.
Yeah, so you saw the review yourself.
That's correct.
Yes, and your name was mentioned often in tandem with the phrase community policing. Mm-hmm. What does community policing mean to you?
First of all, community policing is a completely department process. Every member of the police department is involved in community policing. So some of the things that we would do is just, we would go out and speak to different groups, churches, community groups.
Exactly 1 week ago, the review was released to the public. It included communication failures, improper usage of the city's incident logging software, and overuse of lawful orders. Decatur Police Chief Todd Pinion addressed the public, defending his leadership and the department, and agreeing to comply with many of the review's recommendations. Since then, we've reached out to social justice groups, Standing in Power, and the Perkins family. They've been processing the review and Pinion's reaction, and our Gabe Glassman has more.
The people of Decatur will no longer tolerate a police department that sees itself as above the law.
They wanted a week to fully assess the report on Decatur's police department and to digest what its chief, Todd Pinion, had to say about the findings. Now, this group of change advocates is sharing its concerns, wondering if leadership is even taking it seriously.
I thought it was a joke in the sense that he's playing with us.
Social justice group Standing in Power read off several demands during a session with the local media Thursday afternoon. It wants the third-party review released without redactions and a change in leadership, including the removal of Chief Pinion and his entire command staff.
It's time for new leadership. It's time for people to come in that know what they're doing, that want to be held accountable, that want transparency, that want the community to thrive.
The third-party review addresses a lack of communication several times. It's something Standing in Power has noted before.
It's not your job to be friendly, but it is your job to communicate with the citizens of the city that you are the police chief of and let them know what is going on.
They're also calling for more accountability and transparency from the DPD leadership.
The city needs leadership from its police department, and if you're going to be the police chief, then you need to be the police chief and speak.
I thought at this point in time, with everything that's stacked up against him, that he would finally take ownership or accountability for him and his department, but he just continued to obfuscate his duties.
And when it comes to when they want to see change,
the immediacy is high, the level is high, the code is red. This is not a joke, this is not a game to us.
We will not stop until the Decatur Police Department is transformed into an institution worthy of the trust and respect of the people that it serves.
In Decatur, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
We record Weekend Review on Friday afternoons, and on this Friday, we had the chance to circle back with Chief Pinion to give him a chance to respond to the things Standing in Power said following their reading of that third-party review. Rather than make you wait until next week for that, we wanted to give you a sample of his response. Here it is now.
How confident are you that you are going to be able to continue to lead the Decatur Police Department to become a better police department for their residents?
I'm confident. Obviously, if I wasn't, I would have stepped down, a long time ago. This has been a tough situation throughout, the last several months for several people. But that doesn't stop me from continuing to work.
You'll hear more of Chief Pinion's talk with us on Fox 54 News and on our website, and of course, Fox 54 Plus. Now to more of the week's local headlines.
A major child predator crackdown by Huntsville Police. It resulted in the arrest of 9 men with nearly 40 criminal charges. Is where we start. I'm Ken McCoy. It's the result of a 2-day operation spearheaded by Huntsville Police targeting online child exploitation. 9 men now face a total of 37 criminal charges following the bust. It took place on Thursday and Friday and was a collaborative effort between HPD, along with the Madison County District Attorney's Office, the Morgan County Sheriff's Office, and Covenant Rescue Group. The goal, to identify, investigate, and apprehend individuals exploiting children online. All 9 men are now charged with human trafficking, electronic solicitation of a child, and traveling to meet a child for an unlawful sex act. They are all being held at the Madison County Jail without bond.
The online world is massive, comprising of more than 5 billion people worldwide. It's about 2/3 of the global population. But when it's your kids downloading chatting apps and playing online games with strangers,
there are child predators in every community in America because the internet is in every community in America.
You heard that right. With widespread internet access among children and constant online activity, you or your child could become a victim of some form of predation. On Thursday and Friday, officers posed as minors and lay the bait for online predators. They arrested 9 men over the weekend, each accused of human trafficking and other charges. Here's how it worked.
These are serious predators that are actually looking to have sex with children and bring something of value to the place where they're meeting. That's what makes it human trafficking in the first degree, and that's what all these fellas were charged with.
But according to the Huntsville Police Department, many child predators are extremely technologically savvy. They can find your location and personal information using the things you tell them, photos, and even by tracking the IP address on your computer.
If your child is online or uses a cell phone, you need to teach them to be careful and to protect themselves and their information online. A child predator sting just this weekend arrested 9 men in connection with human trafficking. The police department and the human trafficking task force of the region gave me some tips on how to keep your child safe.
What they do is they try to develop a level of a bond with your child. And then your red flag as a parent, what you're looking out for is those invitations for them to talk with this individual privately, where they encourage them to go to a different application to continue their conversation with this person.
When it's you and your family, they seek out a relationship and take it as far as the child will trust them. To keep it from happening to your child, Bo Williams with the local human trafficking task force says you have to let them know the risks of being online and take measures to keep them from being tracked.
You need to know what your child is doing out there. You need to have monitoring software. You need to have blocking software. You need to have a frank conversation with your children about the kinds of bad people who are out there. And if they're old enough to be on the internet, they're old enough to know about those bad kinds of people.
Some other tips they gave: be aware of what your children are doing online and the apps they use. Be proactive and look into any online friendships your child may have, and make sure they're only chatting with friends that you and they know personally. In Huntsville, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
The 9 men under arrest are currently being held without bond. The next steps are preliminary hearings before each of them go before a grand jury. If convicted, they could face 10 years to life in prison.
A murder house was torn down in Morgan County, and you might be wondering where exactly it was. The house was on Valhermoso Springs on Toluca Road. It was the site of a murder spree in 2020 where 7 people and a dog were shot and killed. Otherwise known as the 7 Deadly Sins murder, the 2 killers were allegedly in a gang called by that name. And as of September, they were both convicted of the crimes and will spend the rest of their lives in prison. And one neighbor who lived nearby at the time and who knew some of the people inside says nothing like that really impacts the neighborhood, and the effects live on afterwards.
We've never had anything like this happen before around here. Definitely not anything that drastic. This neighborhood has always been a really good neighborhood, kind of unexpected when it happened.
Right, prosecutors in the case believe the murders were about stolen drugs and pictures posted to social media.
Some heartbreaking news for a girly barbecue restaurant. An early morning fire has left Mary Pitt's barbecue destroyed. You could see what's left. Thankfully, no one was injured. Owners believe the fire started from either a space heater or an electric issue. The family sharing on social media that, quote, the pit was built by my grandfather in 1958, and to wake up today with it gone is almost incomprehensible. The family time we spent in this small red building over the years made the best memories. We will cherish them forever. An exact cause of the fire is unknown. The family says that is currently under investigation. Madison City Council held its second meeting of the month tonight over at City Hall. The council approved bids toward a couple of projects benefiting Dublin and Palmer Parks.
These projects, bids were awarded tonight here at Madison City Council meeting, and they are going to be benefiting both Palmer and Dublin Park. The first of these two projects is a Palmer Park pedestrian bridges project. This is being awarded to Lambert Constructing LLC for around $350,000 alone. I spoke with Madison Parks and Rec Director Corey Alford about both of these bids, but about this one specifically, he says it's an ongoing issue, and he's been receiving calls about this for weeks.
A couple of years ago, we put in a at-grade crossing, and due to the flooding and the backup of debris that was flowing down those creek channels, they had to be removed. So tonight we're putting bridges in that will allow the debris to go under the bridge and not cause flooding issues that will connect the Bradford Creek Greenway to Palmer Park. The residents in Dublin Farms, for example, can now jump across those two creeks and access the Greenway, and it expands the Greenway to Dublin Farms.
Now, the second of the bids we're looking at is going towards both Palmer and Dublin Park. This is for a soccer field lighting project. This bid was awarded to Wild Monkey LLC for nearly $150,000. So both of these projects, like you said, totaling near $500,000. This will help illuminate a third field for Dublin Park and add more lighting for Palmer Park games. Alfred says this will also allow for more games when those lights are installed.
That will allow us to add activity without having to add field space at night. So lacrosse, soccer, ultimate frisbee will have a place to participate and meet the needs of Madison residents. That'll just expand more soccer play time for club soccer and the soccer organizations that struggle to find field space. That'll add 2 or 3 time slots a night in the fall especially that teams can use.
Alfred says both of these projects don't really have a specific timeline, but weather permitting, they're hoping to have both of these projects installed by the end of spring.
Officials with the City of Madison, you can see, they broke ground on a new public safety annex, the site to be the home of Madison Fire and Rescue Station 4 and a Madison Police Department substation. The annex will be located in town Madison, providing faster response times for the area, officials say. We spoke to Madison Fire and Rescue about why the new building is needed.
So this building allows us to not only spread out with training, but allows us to spread out some of our administrative personnel so they're not sharing offices anymore, not in tight spaces. The training part of it allows us multiple training rooms, whereas we're limited to one training room right this minute. So if we have multiple classes going on or need for meetings, we're having to find spaces outside of the fire department.
Construction is expected to be completed by April of next year. Huntsville keeps expanding. Council members voting to annex nearly 400 acres of land during their meeting last night. Just the latest expansion for the fast-growing city. The newly acquired land is right off Highway 20 near Mooresville, just south of I-565 and east of I-65. Officials say it could bring anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 homes. Our Gabe Glassman finds out what the future holds for the new city turf and why some are concerned about how it could impact the Huntsville city school system.
The land you see here is now in Huntsville. These around 400 acres make Huntsville the 27th largest city in the country.
It's always good for our city to grow. We never want to stop our city from growing.
But this growth on top of other additions could pose some challenges. Huntsville's school system may struggle to keep up.
With this new 300 plus acres coming in, that was not planned for.
Huntsville City School Board member Carlos Matthews says they're already dealing with overcrowding. Plans call for the development of a K-8 school out west, but recent additions are unprecedented and they've gone uncommunicated.
We've not sat down and had a conversation with City Council about the annexing of any property into the city of Huntsville.
We can't just keep overcrowding the schools. We can't.
Former Huntsville City School Board member and current City Council member Michelle Watkins was the lone no in Thursday night's votes.
My concern is this is a lot of weight to carry for a school district. Don't get me wrong, growth is great, but when you're breaking the schools at the seams, we have to think about that.
Watkins noted the distance to school for hundreds of students who would call the property home.
What are we doing to ensure that they're going to get to school in a timely manner?
The Huntsville Capital Plan has no mention of another high school in the area.
If we were to see that type of growth, we're going to need to have another elementary school, which we're building, probably another middle school, and then potentially a high school.
Huntsville officials noted that any development of any property would occur over the next 10 to 20 years, so there's time to address the classroom concerns. In Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, Fox 54 News.
Matthew says there's still a lot of hoops to jump through before a new school can be built. Huntsville City Schools currently has more than 24,000 students enrolled. A traffic impact alert right off the top of the show, and it will affect Huntsville drivers this weekend. It's where we start. I'm Kenesha Dees. Tomorrow and Sunday, drivers are asked to avoid Governor's Drive between Bassett Street and Memorial Parkway. There will be rolling lane closures in both directions. The closures will be in effect both days from 6 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. If you have to travel, you're asked to use extreme caution as workers will be present. They are working on converting the street lights to LED lights. If you can't find an alternate route, be prepared for shifting traffic patterns and possible delays. The city of Madison says its goal of quality of life amenities for their residents include places to worship. Earlier this week, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints announced a new temple in the area. However, it's planned to be located at a busy intersection. The 30,000 square foot structure will be built at the corner of Gillespie and Browns Ferry Roads. Fox 54's Ken McCoy has more on next steps for the temple and how the city is addressing traffic concerns.
The first Northern Alabama temple for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is coming to Madison. In a statement from Communications Director John Fellows, he shares in part, quote, "We recognize the dedicated efforts of all those working through the necessary processes to bring this temple to fruition. This will be a place of peace, faith, and spiritual renewal for many years to come." The process has a few steps, which includes a temple rendering, groundbreaking, an open house, and a temple dedication. But Fellows says one of the biggest steps includes working with the city to address the logistics, which includes traffic.
I think in this case, in Madison's case, you saw where a lot of the churches and the schools were built on the main roads to start. So we are already kind of behind the 8 ball when it comes to that.
Mayor Paul Finley says the city works with developers to help quality of life projects thrive.
It is something when people go to work and then come back. This is part of living. It's quality of life. It's your church. It's your recreational programs. It's your family activities that you have. And so Madison's always been known for that.
When it comes to this current project, Finley says, prior to the church's announcement, traffic improvements in the area had already begun.
To the east, we have the roundabout at Balch and Gillespie that's already been built and made a major impact in moving traffic through there. Currently, we're in process of working the Browns Ferry and Burgering roundabout to the west, which will make a major impact in moving traffic there. So without knowing that they were coming, I think we're already ahead of the game in a couple of different instances on helping traffic to get to and from where they need to be.
Once services begin, off-duty officers may be used to help keep things flowing.
Multiple churches utilize off-duty police officers and sheriffs to help traffic get in and out. Those are purchased by the respective entity. We want that to be in place because it just makes it easier for folks to get in and out on the respective Saturdays or Sundays or Wednesdays.
Another place of worship is also located in the area of the future temple. Fellows says they will work with them to make sure things work smoothly. In Madison, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
And Fellows also says if all goes according to plan, the time frame to see construction would be 2 to 4 years. Thousands of people taken into custody in the past few days. President Trump cracking down on immigration. For many, it's a ticket out of the country, and the swift and sweeping action is being felt here in North Alabama, where Gabe Glassman found. The effects have been a flurry of activity for some attorneys who focus on immigration law.
While it may seem calm outside the La Raza law firm in the Shoals, it's been chaotic inside.
Our clients have been very scared. We've had a big influx of calls.
Managing attorney Ruby Adams says concern about deportation has been coming from many of her clients, as crackdowns of those in the country illegally have played out across the U.S.
It's a struggle because every day is something new. We can't get on the phone and call, all 200, 300 of our clients. So we really rely on them to reach out to us, and we do make time when they do reach out to us, make time to advise them as to what's changed.
And a main concern for Adams is just how fast it's all happening.
Expedited removal was reserved for people within a 100-mile radius of the borders who just came in.
But the rules have recently changed.
It's been expanded to allow people even anywhere in the U.S. who've been here less than 2 years to be subject to expedited removal.
La Raza, who practices both affirmative and defense immigration law, has spent a lot of time simply letting clients know what isn't happening, sorting out the misinformation that's making the rounds.
It's a very difficult field to be in as an immigration attorney just because we want to be as informed as possible.
And while Adams would rather share good news with her clients, she knows it's important to give people the facts about their cases.
Sometimes I just have to be real with people because it's not good news. I have to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd rather give somebody real, honest advice than try to, give them something that's just a fairy tale that's not reality.
No fairy tales here, but it's a story that will likely play out over months, if not years, to come. In Florence, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
If you need legal advice, it's important that you speak directly with an attorney, but Adams shared some suggestions for those who have an encounter with ICE. In addition to calling a lawyer, she advises ask to see a warrant and exercise the right to remain silent.
The Alabama Department of Mental Health revealing a new distinctive license plate for drivers. The Mental Health Matters license plate is a simple but powerful way to show your support for the promotion of mental health resources at the state, regional, and local levels. ADMH is looking to secure 1,000 pre-commitments for the plate this year in order to begin production. Alabamians interested can pre-order the plate for $50. A link to reserve and purchase a plate can be found on FOX54.com. It's that time of year. Doctors and hospitals across the country are reporting a big spike in the flu, COVID, and RSV cases. That spike in cases is very prevalent for Lauderdale County schools. So much so that the district has decided to close Central Elementary and Central High School tomorrow and Tuesday. Lauderdale County Schools says this decision is needed to let students and staff recover from last week's increase in sick absences. They also hope this will slow the outbreak in their schools. And this spike in illnesses across the U.S. follows a polar vortex that sent temperatures plunging and forced millions of Americans inside for much of this month. The CDC says the flu is the greatest concern at the moment. It's spreading more quickly than in previous years. Testing positivity is almost up 19% over the past week, and 42 states are now reporting high or moderate flu activity. The CDC says cold and flu season lasts from October to May, but this year is expected to peak next month.
We're having a lot of patients who are struggling to kind of shake it, if you will, and even some who are progressing further and requiring, emergency room visits.
There's always going to be ebbs and flows in emergency medicine. We do our best to predict what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, but, sometimes it can be a little challenging.
Health officials are now advising folks to get back to basics when it comes to mitigation. That means more hand washing and wearing face masks in crowded areas.
Now, Fox 54 Top Teacher, sponsored by Calhoun Community College.
It's full circle for this teacher we're about to meet. Where he started is his last stop so far, going from student to educator and returning home to where his heart is. He teaches science and coaches athletes. Meet this week's top teacher, Lamarck Owens from East Lawrence High School.
The heart valves prevent blood.
It's all about matters of the heart.
What does the heart have to do?
For anatomy and physical science teacher, Lamarck Owens. In fact, East Lawrence High School is his home, and it's where his heart is.
I graduated from here. This is my 21st year teaching, so I came back home last year trying to make an impact here.
Owens initially wanted to be a dentist, later turning to education.
I felt like education was where I needed to be. And not looking back anymore, and this is the last 21 years, so I guess I was right on that because I enjoy every day of it.
He teaches, but he also tackles sports. Coach Owens is what he's also called, coaching football and basketball over the years from Montgomery to Elmore County. But
this place built me, so I wanted to come back and make an impact here. Whether it's community, classroom, football field, basketball court, I just wanted to come back and try to make an impact because it made me who I am.
Owens says he enjoys teaching.
Being a teacher, it's not the daily routine of most jobs. Most jobs, you go to your job, you know your assignment, you do it, go home. Every day here is different. Kids are different.
And the kids enjoy learning. Just ask his kid, his son, McKinley Owens.
He deserves it. He's a nice teacher. My friends, Alonzo, Garcia, he said his sister told him my dad was a nice teacher. He's a good football coach and stuff.
Owens hopes his students walk away ready for the world.
I just want them to leave with a good personal experience, knowing that Coach Owens came every day. He cares about us. He wants to educate us. He wants us to learn.
Congratulations, Lamaric. We have his full interview, including his son, all on Fox 54+. You can also visit fox54.com to nominate a teacher. The council voted unanimously to tear down the structure, citing safety concerns. The deck officially closed to the public last month after it was determined the structure was no longer safe to use. It stands just a block away from the new Tom Bigby parking deck. Our Ken McCoy tells us how business owners feel this move will affect their operations.
One structure goes up as another is prepared to go down. The city of Florence is preparing to demolish the old downtown parking deck.
Went into the decision for me, it was basically the safety for the citizens, and we had a fire on Friday, and so safety to me is always was first and foremost.
To help alleviate some of the parking stress with the growing downtown district, the city opened a second garage. Business owners in the area share the construction of the new deck came with its own set of problems.
When they originally started building the new parking deck, we had a hit in business, a lot of less people come down here, there's less parking and all that stuff, so it definitely will affect us.
It caused a lot of congestion, and basically it just stopped people from coming downtown for the most of the year. So our business, like our lunches, just died, and the weekends were okay, but we really had a hard hit during that construction.
DeCorley says he was in favor of the old deck staying open.
I think just where we're at in this part of downtown, off this street, with the parking decks here right now, it was beneficial to have them before, and for the old one, we were hoping it would stay open.
And White says he's just hoping to have a better experience.
It's going to cause issues. Thankfully, the city's working with us on the back of our restaurant here. They're redoing the alleyway and our back parking area and the side parking area. So hopefully customers will be able to park in our new deck and just come right in our back door if we have to close.
A timetable has not yet been set in stone for the start of demolition. Simmons says contractors will begin first by giving the structure a complete look over and build out a plan from there. Here in Florence, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Yeah, and Simmons says the city plans to make the process as painless as possible. They're working on ways to do it both safely and effectively.
There is a lot that goes behind the scenes of city government, and the city of Madison is providing an opportunity for residents to understand just how the city works. The Madison Civic Awareness Academy is a 6-week discovery program that provides an in-depth look at all facets of city operations. Participants will be given an up-close look into the roles of municipal government, city operations, and more. Mayor Paul Finley said this also provides an opportunity for attendees to open up dialogue.
We'll sit down, talk to you about what we're doing, but most importantly, listen to you in roundtable discussions on what you feel is important in the city of Madison. So that just opened up, and we welcome the next class to come in where we can continue to share good news about the city of Madison.
All right, if you would like to attend, the deadline for application is February 14th. Applicants must be at least 18 years old and reside in the city of Madison.
The Indian Mound Museum here in Florence is a pinnacle of Native American culture and heritage because right across the street, a massive ceremonial mound thousands of years old sits waiting for visitors to discover. And just inside, a cultural translator with the Chickasaw Nation brought some tools and weapons to show me how the indigenous people here live their daily life. Here are some of those tools and the weapons southeastern tribes use to hunt game. The Chickasaw Nation didn't let me get footage of the actual presentation, but cultural translator Bill Burkeen let me in to see the tools themselves. They include cooking pots made from pine straw, arrows made from several different materials, animal hides, a blowgun, a rake, and traditional hunting spears. The site director overseeing the mound says these tools span thousands of years of history.
The mound was built over 1,700 years ago. And so these are going to be replicas of tools that may have been used by the southeastern indigenous peoples of that time period.
But she says even though the tools are historical, they're heritage for a living, breathing community here in North Alabama.
I want to carry on that legacy of we are still here. The indigenous peoples are still here and alive and well. It's not this story of the past. I want students to know and the community to know that it's a very much living culture.
And the president for Alabama's chapter of the Trail of Tears Association, Judy Sizemore, says it's all important to learn about because hundreds of years later, it's still a topic glossed over in school.
In the classroom, unfortunately, this is not considered to be eligible content. Much of this is not covered in the standardized test, and so it's not taught in schools. So this is a way to further your education. Some of it may have been taught, some of it may not have been taught, but education is something that you never stop. You never stop learning. You continue to learn until the day you die.
The Florence Museum offers a place to learn about Native history and culture, tying ancient pasts into the modern era. To accomplish this mission, they try to host different events at least twice a month. In Florence, I'm Caleb Aguayo, Fox 54 News.
What you just saw on your screen was a planned car explosion, much like the one recently in Las Vegas, put on by the ATF's National Response Team. The team housed here on Redstone Arsenal are sent out to help investigators with these crime scenes, but there's a lot of training involved. Our Ken McCoy has more on how these investigators prepare.
Large fires, explosions, and bombings. That's what these current and future investigators are training for.
We're running a post-blast investigative techniques course, which is provided for the military personnel that we have in the class. And what we're doing is we've set up scenes so that they can come out after they've gone through the training throughout the week, and they will be able to implement the systematic process that we teach them.
Program Manager Brian Taylor says teams learn to identify a variety of explosives, including homemade, low explosives, and commercial.
What we're doing is to try and give the students an idea of what different signatures it would look like depending on what kind of scene they're processing.
Because of its ease of access, low explosives are the most commonly used explosives.
We usually see that people are using low explosives and stuff that is commercially available to them that they can purchase without having to have a license.
Each scene has its own footprint, but the fundamental principles apply to all of them.
The most important factor is being able to understand the systematic process that they need to utilize when they're coming out to a scene and being able to process it so that they will be able to collect the evidence. Taking the photo, great idea.
I'm going to have you start.
Our goal is for them to be able to exploit the evidence, collect it from the scene, that way we can ultimately get a prosecution at that point in time. For the military, it's a little bit different. It's based on that they're looking for targets for whoever is making the explosives so that the military could target those individuals, but it's still the same principles that's going to be applied.
Training is offered throughout the year to different state and local law enforcement agencies. In Huntsville, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
The ATF National Response Team has been deployed to both New Orleans and Las Vegas to assist authorities with investigations. Seniors ages 65 and older make up nearly 20% of Alabama's population, according to the Census Bureau, and their percentage is expected to get higher. Caring for them is going to be a challenge. Today, elected leaders in Madison County hopped on and off a bus, making stops in Huntsville to learn how they can fill the gap for senior care.
Friday was a field trip for elected leaders on the local and state level. They hopped on the legislative tour bus hosted by the Legacy Center. It's a nonprofit organization aimed at addressing gaps for our aging population. Leaders made stops at places including the Johnson Towers, a subsidized housing residence, and the Madison County Service Center. Hearing from probate judge Frank Barger.
The only reason we are on this earth is to walk each other home.
On ways to improve conservatorship and guardianship. State Rep Rex Reynolds says he learned a lot today.
I think I need to go back and talk to our senior services and our DHR at the state level, find out how we better work with someone like the Legacy Center that's boots on the ground providing treatment for our elderly.
Reynolds chairs the House General Funds Committee, and Representative Laura Hall serves on the committee with him. She knows it's important to secure those funds for seniors.
Making sure that we have funds to address some of the concerns that have been raised, such as services to the individuals so that they can remain in their homes, or providing the resources for individuals who would like to do those services, provide those services.
Madison County Chairman Mac McCutcheon recognizes the growth in our rural areas and the need for more access to care for seniors there.
We're trying to keep people in their homes for as long as possible, because nursing home care, especially medical assisted nursing home care, is very, very costly.
Newly elected Representative Marilyn Lands from District 10, serving Huntsville, will attend her first full legislative session next month. Here's her takeaway.
Well, one thing I think are sharing the stories with people, because stories are always what change hearts and minds. And so I think bringing some of these stories forward would be a wonderful thing to do.
A lot to learn for our seniors today. Well, this year's legislative session begins February 4th in Montgomery. It's all about AI, artificial intelligence, at the U.S. Space and Rocket Center this week. The museum bringing in experts to host its second annual AI symposium. Topics include the use of AI creatively in the medical field and military. An important focus was improving the general understanding of AI. We learned from one of the speakers why we should be more aware of AI.
Can you imagine running your business today without a computer? Can you imagine running your business without smart decision systems that really process data and crunch data and help the decision making? So with this AI technology too, it is again this education, this literacy that needs to happen across organization to find where it fits within the organization.
Yeah, for more information on events at the Space and Rocket Center, a link to their website is on FOX54.com. Rocket City racing fans, get ready. Another major cycling event is coming to Huntsville this year. The U.S. Paralympic Cycling Time Trial is set to roll into town March 29th. It's a full day of cycling by America's best, all vying for a spot on the national team for this year's major circuit of races. Cummings Research Park will host the event this year. It's the fourth time a professional cycling event has been held in Huntsville, and is a marquee event in preparations for the 2026 World Championship. Aaron Koshut with Cummings Research Park says U.S. Paracycling approached Huntsville about making this event happen.
So a time trial is where athletes compete individually against the clock. It is called the race of truth because it is literally an individual effort all against the clock. These athletes are elite athletes with either physical or visual impairments. When the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee was looking for a place where they could do a selection race for the Team USA World Cup team this year, they reached out to Huntsville, and it was a natural fit.
Wow, well, the race runs on March 29th again. The exact course they'll run on at Cummings Research Park is the layout for the 2026 World Championships, giving competitors an early look at that major event.
Get ready to saddle up this weekend. The Loomis Brothers Circus is in town, and this time with a Western twist. The award-winning family circus is at the Alabama A&M Agribition Center all weekend long. Attendees can expect to see everything from circus thrills to high-flying acrobats and boot-stomping Western music. We spoke to some of the entertainers who are ready to welcome the guests to this stuntacular affair.
Hello, FOX54 from the Loomis Brothers Circus. Thank you so much for joining us here so we can talk about our favorite thing in the world. What's our favorite thing in the world, Cozy?
The Loomis Brothers Circus! Really, any time is the best time. I really just love being up in the air, so I'd say anytime. The worst time is when you're not in the air and you hit the ground. There's a lot of things we do that makes it small, but everything we do has a risk factor. And so even if it just looks like a small trick, everything you could get hurt on. So we really do put our lives on the line just to entertain people, and we all love what we do.
When you think about a Lego brick, you might view them as a children's toy. And while there might be some truth to that, some people are turning them into something much different. Our Gabe Glassman explains how and why.
This event is built brick by brick, quite literally, as you can see. And this blockbuster convention is hitting Huntsville this weekend. As an artist who works in a very different medium, you could say Leah Chan's works are taking off. The Rocket City, a perfect showcase for Leah. She's created some of the most accurate displays of U.S. spacecraft ever crafted out of Legos.
Well, for this model right here, for the spatial launch pad, so far I would say close to 850 hours, but that does include a research time, design time, build time, modification, and also repair times.
And it's shows like this one in Huntsville that make it all worthwhile.
My favorite part about doing Brick Universe shows is I can share the love of space with other people, and plus the fact that I'm hoping I can encourage some of the kids to get into engineering and math.
Space is not the only focus for Brick Universe. Superheroes, pop culture, and the more obscure make their presence known. Ethan T, aka Mystery, creates mosaics so complex you'd think he used a brush, not bricks.
I use a program called Studio 2.0. It's a Lego, basically you can build anything in a 3D space in Lego. That's what I use for a lot of my designing, and I'll plan out what this color will be or what this piece will be. When it comes to the greebling texture work, I do that freehand.
Dozens of creators are taking part in Brick Universe this weekend, but everyone can show off their skills. Build zones will be located around the expo for people to let their creative side out.
Gotta love those Legos, very creative work. And that wraps up our weekend review. For news and weather impact alerts any time of day, get the Fox 54 mobile app for streaming video extras like this program and other stories you won't find over the air. Get the Fox 54 Plus app on your Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV devices. And for all of us here at Fox 54, I'm Kenesha Dees. Have a wonderful weekend.